What's up guys, it's your boy TCS Reacts here, bringing a brand new TCS reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from this guy called TCSGaming. And this guy has to be the cringiest YouTuber I've ever seen. We're going to be watching his Ocarina of Time review today, so let's get into it. By the way, my goal with this reaction is to watch the entire video all the way through without stopping.
Welcome to a TCSGaming Christmas special. Christmas is a time for giving, family, and cheer. And everybody knows that talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas is all in the Christmas spirit, right? So just kick back with some chocolate chip cookies and eggnog and we'll delve into a familiar game for the holidays. Welcome to my review of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay, I have to stop. Alright. I'm gonna try to keep going now.
So Link travels to the Temple of Time to open the door using the Ocarina of Time. It seems to only be a matter of time before the word time gets annoying. Haha, get it? Because I said time again? Okay, I'll stop.
That was the cringiest joke I've ever heard. TCS Gaming? More like TCS Laming.
But then there's the fishing minigame. Ah! Pretty much every song is enjoyable. I give Ocarina of Time a rating of 9.5 out of 10. It's a great game and it's well worth your time.
TCS Gaming? More like TCS Bad. Anyways guys, thanks for watching this episode of TCS Reacts. I give this TCS Reacts a TCS rating of Believe It. What am I doing with my life? I've been wanting to redo my Ocarina of Time video for a long time. Honestly, the game deserves much more than what I gave it. Ocarina of Time is a... Hold on. I'm about to use a pretty high IQ term, so if you aren't a video game elitist, then I suggest that you take a hike. Okay, here we go. Ocarina of Time is a classic. It's much different than other games. It's not like Battlefield or something where you can just be like, well, I'm just gonna sit down and play one game before school. No, you do that with Ocarina, you don't go to school. You skip school because you accidentally played for 6 hours straight. And you miss your SATs. And it was worth it. Ocarina of Time envelops you in its world right away. It sucks you in with an epic tale of grand adventures with heroes and villains chosen by goddesses to be bestowed great power that will impact the entire world. The atmosphere right from the start is amazing. Even though the world itself is initially explained through exposition, it still manages to hold your interest because you know that eventually you'll get to see everything that this world holds. And you most certainly do. Ocarina of Time will have you travel through vast fields, up mountains, under lakes, to the bowling alley. Wait. No, that's right. Nice one! And I have to credit the beginning of the story for setting all of this up. The encounter with the Great Deku Tree in particular is something really special that isn't talked about in high regard as much as I think it should be. I mean, come on, think about it. The Deku Tree is the wisest person in the world, who is also able to reincarnate himself when he dies, and he watches over a bunch of kids that never age. Oh god, that doesn't sound right at all, does it? Nah, but seriously, the Great Deku Tree sets up the entire plot, world, and lore in this one speech. And that's pretty cool. What's also cool is young Link's journey. I think that young Link's portion of the game is amazing from a story standpoint. This is something that I think is forgotten a bit, but the characters and atmosphere of early Ocarina of Time are fantastic. Everything is so alive. Each character, from Saria to Malon to Zelda, is interesting and fun. The first meeting with Zelda is also a highlight for me. While she is explaining the impending evil brought upon by Ganondorf, she seems optimistic that you'll be able to stop him. She has a positive outlook on the situation. Then you walk from the castle into town and that music hits. Alright, you see how happy everyone is? Just look at that, nothing could ruin these guys' day. Not even the epitome of evil seizing control of the Sacred Realm could do it. Another thing I really like with young Link is how he is able to make others happy. With both the Gorons and the Zoras, there is a problem causing everyone to be sad or angry. The Gorons are starving and the Zora's water god has been acting strange. And what better person to fix these problems than a 9-year-old child? I always get a great feeling of satisfaction when I complete these sections of the game, especially with the Gorons because I just love Daruni as a character. He gives off the bitter old man vibe at first, but in reality he cares immensely for his people and the good of the world in general. Also, he's got some fresh moves. You know, I like this scene a lot, although I'm a bit disappointed that the 3DS remake didn't include dabbing into his dance routine. I like helping the Zoras too, but in reality, the only thing that happens is that you're forced into a marriage. as a 9-year-old to a fish. As for gameplay as young Link, well, that's a different story. It starts strong in the Deku Tree, which is a great first dungeon. It helps the player get accustomed to what Zelda dungeons are like with simple puzzles and enemies. I also appreciate the fact that you get the dungeon item, the slingshot, very early on in the dungeon. It gives you plenty of time to get used to the aiming system, which is used heavily in the Goma boss fight. And you just gotta love the vibe here. Searching out a curse in the hollow husk of a giant tree filled with spiders and Deku scrubs and... what the hell am I looking at? From here I've got a few gripes. For one, Hyrule Field. It's just too big for its own good as a kid, and even when you turn into an adult, you don't actually do much here. It's just there to connect the other parts of the world. Having said that, I will not deny the feeling of the first time you see it. The camera pans out over the field as the music starts up and eventually zooms in as Link exits the giant log, and all of a sudden, control is passed to the player. Yeah! Aww. Unfortunately, once the initial awe wears off, it becomes side-jumping madness. From here until you meet with Ganondorf for the first time, the game gets a little bland, especially compared to Adult Link's journey. Dodongo's Cavern is a decent dungeon, but the boss fight leaves a lot to be desired, and I don't even want to mention Jabu Jabu's belly, even though I just did. It is a slog, not fun to look at, not fun to play, and you have an annoying princess to carry around the entire time. But it's all worth it to get to Adult Link. Okay, let me just gush for a minute. The first encounter with Ganondorf is one of my most memorable Zelda moments. First, you have the ominous dark clouds that slowly come in as you approach Hyrule Castletown, which I've always loved. Then Zelda and Impa ride out on a horse, and I just want to point out the desperation on Zelda's face here when she sees Link. And then there's Ganon himself. As a frequenter of anime, I would say I have a high IQ when it comes to noticing what makes a good villain and what doesn't. Ganon has a real intimidation about him, and you can tell it affects Link too. He is immensely arrogant because he has the power to back it up, which is put on full display when he wrecks Link here, acts like he's going to go pursue Zelda, and then snatches control of the Sacred Realm right from under Link. Time for Adult Link. Dick joke. Alright, I'm going to start with some negatives, but everything else will be positive from here on, I promise. I love the way the atmosphere changes once you become an adult. The world is in ruin as a result of Ganon's takeover, and everyone has problems. And while I really think that this change fits for this part of the game, it also brings out some issues. You see, Link himself kinda sucks. You probably already heard this before, but he's boring as a character, and without other characters to carry him, you lose a lot of what made the first part of the game so great story-wise. The only other prevalent character is Sheik, who's just there to provide exposition. My favorite thing. I don't know how you make a ninja a boring character, but they made a ninja a boring character. Sheik doesn't do much of anything besides getting thrown around by a shadow in this hilarious cutscene. Ocarina of Time really loses me in its second half. Link isn't a strong enough character to keep me interested. I like the darker tones of the second half, but the characters are all bland and boring, and this continues until the story's conclusion. The end of the game hits the mark just right though. Ganon's castle is as intimidating as the man himself, and it builds up the final confrontation. It finally comes back to what made young Link's story so great, and reminds me a lot of the anticipation of pulling the Master Sword from its pedestal. And the ending sequence during the credits is fantastic as well. Now, while I had problems with the story, there's very little to gripe about with Adult Link's gameplay. You're talking about Zelda gameplay that is almost perfect. The dungeons are great, the side quests are great, the atmosphere is great, and the bosses are great. The darker tones of Adult Link, while impairing the story slightly, absolutely enhance the dungeon experience. The Forest Temple, for example, is one of the best dungeons in Zelda history, in my opinion. It combines all of the aspects of Zelda dungeons that you want. A great setting, interesting puzzles, a fun boss, and a creepy track that just adds to the overall unsettling nature of this place. I mean, the entire game feels different once you get here, like you could actually lose. And this place has my favorite boss fight in the game in Phantom Ganon. I just love the first part of this fight so much, and it's still one of the most creative set pieces in the game. I really like the Fire Temple too, but I found out that I'm really bad at it on stream. I also don't hate the Water Temple, and that's for a few reasons. The main complaint here is the Iron Boot switching, which when you think about it isn't really the Water Temple's fault itself, it's more of a gameplay flaw. The other part is that vertically layered dungeons in Zelda tend to be confusing when you're trying to figure out where to go, which I could see being a problem here. I still miss rooms and keys and stuff, but I think the 3DS version does a good job of showing the player where to go. And I mean, it's got a cool mini-boss, great music, the aesthetic is nice, and the boss fight is one of the better ones in the game too. Then there's the Shadow Temple, which is a really cool dungeon because you can hear the wails of the damned all the time. E for everyone, guys! But yeah, in the original version, this place is dark, there's evil spirits, bloodstains on the floor, and this fucker that always goes for the head when he attacks. It's a fun dungeon, but I've never found it to be that incredible. The Spirit Temple, on the other hand, seems to get better every time I play it. I think this is my favorite dungeon to look at. I just love the theme, and with the music in the background, it just fits so well. And this isn't the easiest dungeon either. The mini-bosses are tough, especially as Child Link. There's some cryptic design like the sun puzzle that will freeze you if you pick the wrong chest, and lots of flying pots. And it's capped off with a fun boss fight in Twin Rova, who starts off as 2 flying old ladies, but then turns into 1 flying younger looking lady, but it's kind of off-putting because you know she's really old. Besides the dungeons being much improved, every other aspect of the game gets better too. The music, the side quests, the mini dungeons, overall it just feels like everything is much more fleshed out as Adult Link. The pacing especially is so much better. You can really play the game however you want. You can take it slow and explore every inch of Hyrule Field, or you can play quickly and use teleportation songs or Epona to get around faster. You aren't forced to slog around anymore, you have options. The side quests are also much better. Whether it's upgrades, heart pieces, or new items, all the side quests are really fun. Except for the fishing. And the rewards are better too. As a kid, you can do quests for stuff like learning a song that is no use until you're an adult, or you can gain the ability to hold more nuts. It's every kid's dream. As an adult, you get more death projectiles, more explosions, more holding stuff, and the best weapon in the game, which basically makes strategic combat useless. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up to you, but I like destroying everything with my long sword. Wait. And then there's the final battle with Ganon. It's still an epic confrontation to this day. In terms of scale, nothing in the rest of the game is really like this. The battle itself is really fun and challenging. Unless you have the Big Oron sword, and then it's pretty easy. But it's still fun regardless. The last thing to discuss is music, and well, it's phenomenal, it really is. I mean, you could pick any track from this game and I will absolutely love it. I'm not even gonna bother listing songs here, I'm just gonna post a playlist of the OST on screen. There you go. Those are my favorite songs. Ocarina of Time still holds up as one of the best games of all time. I wanted to make this review a little different than usual. My first review was like reading off the wiki page for this game. I was just saying things that everyone already knew. Hopefully this time I did a better job. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for watching that video. If you liked it, then make sure to hit the like button, and also be sure to subscribe for very consistent uploads. Yeah guys, sorry about the lack of consistency with my uploads and streams. In about a month and a half, I'll probably be back with some time to actually do all those things. But until then, I'm gonna try and give it my best shot to get some more videos and stuff out for you guys, so stay tuned for that. If you wanna follow me on Twitter, my Twitter is at the TCSGaming, and it is linked in the description below, as well as my Discord server, so come join the Discord server. That is the best place to talk to me directly. We have a nice chat in there. So yeah, hit the link in the description below. Anyways guys, I will see you next time. Peace.